Hello, beautiful people. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my other videos, but I think that's just what this channel is. It's just we're going with the flow, and I show up, and what I feel like talking on is what we're going to talk about. And if you don't align with it or you don't like it, you can click off, and that's totally cool. And I still have so much love for you. And if you want to stay and just kind of see and feel out the vibe, or maybe this message means something to you, then I would love that too. So with that being said, hello, how are you guys? Are you guys doing spectacular today? Oh, this energy is so potent and it's beautiful. I feel a lot of different types of energies, but I'm choosing to tune into the positive, vibrant, like lust for life type of vibe today, okay? And I think that is so special and so important for this message, because the message today, I just wanted to speak on it personally because I've been going through it and I've been dealing with it, but also because I feel like we've talked about this a lot in the Rooted Light fam on this channel to some level. And this is living your best life or manifesting your best life. So I want to talk about today, what does it mean and what does it look like to live your best life? What does that even mean? And how do we do that? Like, okay, cool. It's all fun and games, right? When we're sitting here and we're just like, yeah, I just want to do these things, and we think about it and we dream about it, and that's so beautiful and that's amazing. And if you're having thoughts and dreams and excited feelings about these things, that means it's probably for you. That means it is aligned for you, right? So when these thoughts and these emotions and these feelings come up for you, that's your higher self. That's a version of you somewhere out there over the rainbow, living that mother fluffing life, sending you that energy, sending you those vibes, sending you those thoughts, those feelings that you have access to too, and that you can access as you start to align your daily habits in your life. So that's what I want to talk about today. Yay! I did write some notes because there are some important things that I've jotted down over the past year or two as I've been doing my own living my best life manifestation. Basically aligning myself with my higher self. I've been like diarying. I need to just say journaling because that just comes out so weird. But I've been writing in my diary or writing in my journal a little over 2 years now about the steps that I've been taking and what that even means to like step into your highest self, your fullest potential, the life that you want, bro. Boo, sis, cuz, whoever you are, okay? Like, you can do that. Everybody can do this. And everyone has their different ways and how they manifest. Crows be everywhere, okay? Magical whimsicalness. Like, there's different ways on how to manifest, and maybe I'll create a video on that too, because each individual and based off of like your human design, if you're like a manifestor or a generator or a manifesting generator or you're a reflector, like all the different things, there's different ways on how you manifest or how you make things happen for you. And that's what manifest means. I know people think manifesting is like this sparkly woo-woo word that just means you just think about it and poof, it exists. But that's not the flippin' case, yo. And I know you guys know that. If you're still here watching this video, even just 3 minutes in, like, you know that manifesting isn't simply just think about it and it pops up into existence. You have to do something about it. You got to align yourself with it. So what does that even mean? What does that look like, right? So when I say the word manifesting, I mean, like, what are you creating? Like, something that comes into existence. I actually recorded a video just recently about how stress and anxiety and traumas that we experience in our life can manifest itself in physical forms in your body. So that's showing like it can physically show up in your body in chronic illness and pain and sickness and disease. So to that level, manifesting simply just means, at least in the way that I'm using it, okay? Manifesting means to create, to cultivate, to show up into 3D existence, material existence here. That's what that means. Okay, cool. So now that we got that, what does this mean? So let's move beyond the manifesting concept and go into the embodying life that you're calling in. I have my matcha with me today because matcha just sounded so good today. I didn't really want coffee. I've been, ooh, that's going to be, I'll use that as an example too. I'm I'm stepping more into my higher self, and I'm like, what would my higher self do? And it's just like little tiny things here and there. And I've been stepping further away from large consumptions of caffeine. I do understand that matcha does have some caffeine, but the amount of caffeine that I was consuming every day was borderline unhealthy. So I wanted to just, like, I want to start somewhere, right? I'm not trying to manifest being a matcha coffee maker, so I need to stay away from coffee. I'm just trying to manifest my best self, my most aligned self. And for me, that's living a healthy, happy life. And there's many other levels to it, but I want to make sure that I'm as focused and as aware and as present as I can be. And caffeine doesn't always do that. Yes, it can give you energy, but it doesn't always give you structured focus. So it can kind of just be a little bit of like a buzzing focus, like, yeah, I'm going to work, I'm going to do this. And then you're like jittering and you're just like, your mind's going everywhere and your heart's palpitating and all the things, right? So that's something I've done. So I have my matcha today. I ran out of my matcha at home, so I have my matcha here. But anyways, let's go and move like aside from the concept of manifesting and go into the embodying that life essence, that life architecture that you want to create that will move you forward into the life that you are embodying, that you're trying to embody. Rather, let me set this down. Okay, so I've been calling this in my journal, I've been calling this alignment through daily embodiment. And I've been like putting little check notes and little bullet points and all of the little things for myself of, actually I have two different ones. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is why I write notes. This is why I write notes. I have two different little checklists. Okay. And I'll get into that. Maybe I won't forget it. Maybe, I don't know. But one checklist basically is about things that I'm aware that words, things that I'm aware of that I do that I know isn't the best practice or isn't the best behavior or aren't the best actions, right? And I write them down, not in a place of shaming myself, but in a place of recognizing, taking accountability, and just being curious about it. Like, where did this come from? Why do I still do these things? And just, so that's one checklist. And the other checklist is all the things that I want to start doing or I want to start implementing. And so I have those checklists, and I title my checklist The Alignment Through Daily Embodiment. So how am I embodying this daily? Stay with me, guys. Stay with me, guys. Okay. So a lot of people often like misunderstand, and they'll say, like, when it comes to manifesting or when it comes to stepping into your higher self or stepping into the version of you that you're becoming or that you want to become. And I know many people have different titles of it. So maybe you don't use the word manifesting. Maybe you use the word aligning with my higher self, or just moving forward into the person I want to be, or this is who I'm becoming. However you use it. Okay. But all interchangeably can be used. It just depends on the verbiage you like to use. But a lot of people, I feel like there's like a really big misunderstanding. And I had this too for a while, that people will try to change the outcome before they change their identity. So let's use money, for example. A lot of people are like manifesting money, right? They want money. It's like you're trying to manifest these outcomes. It's like you're going and buying all these lottery tickets, or you're going and putting all of your money into something that you like heard or were told would bring you more money or had the potential to do so, right? And there's nothing wrong with going and getting lottery tickets. There's nothing wrong with investing your money somewhere, okay? But if you yourself, who you are, okay, your person, your identity, your personality, your everything about who you are, if that identity hasn't shifted, then the actions that you're taking to like force an outcome to happen are most likely not going to happen. Okay. And I know that there's someone probably going to show up in the comments like, well, it worked for me. It's like, cool, awesome, great for you, high five. Like, but if you want it to be sustainable and long lasting, you want something to actually like not just, fizzle out, like get money and then burn out because you haven't changed your identity and your actions, your daily habits, you haven't embodied that yet, then let's say you do win a lottery ticket and you haven't changed your identity, you haven't shifted your perspective, you haven't gone through any of those things, and you do win money from a lottery ticket, okay? But you haven't changed those actions. When you get the money, it's like a lot of people just either give it to everybody, which is so beautiful and thoughtful, right? Okay, but like they give it to everybody, or they spend it all, and it's gone within a couple months or years, and then they're back to where they were, back to square one, or sometimes even worse, more in debt. So that's what I'm saying. Like you can sort of, in a sense, force outcomes to happen in some scenarios, in some situations, but it's not sustainable. It doesn't last. It doesn't stay with you. It doesn't stick with you. It's not something that you're able to continue to keep moving forward with, or to keep growing. And this isn't going to be about money per se. I'm just using that as an example because a lot of people are like, I'm manifesting money. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. And there's nothing wrong with wanting and manifesting that. But if you haven't aligned your daily actions, if you haven't started to embody the behavior of a millionaire, of a billionaire, then most likely what's going to happen is at some point it's going to all fade away and fizzle out, and then you're still going to be back in the same identity that you've been in, that hasn't changed, right? So what I've been doing and asking myself, and I ask myself sometimes out loud and sometimes just like in my thoughts or writing down in my journal. So who is the version of me that already lives my life, that already lives that life that I want to live, right? Like, who is the version, I'm going to put it into terms for you. Who is the version of you that already lives that life? And sit down and write out everything and anything. And there's no right or wrong, but it's just writing out and just starting with a conceptualization, a breakdown of what would the person that I'm manifesting, maybe it's somebody, you want to be a business person, you want to own your own business, and you want to travel, or you want to have, financial freedom, or freedom of time, where you can make up your own day and do what you want to when you want to, and you don't have a 9-to-5 schedule. Whatever it is that you're manifesting, what does that person do? What are their daily habits? What do they eat? When do they go to bed? When do they wake up? What habits do they have in the middle of the day? Do they have any addictions? If they do, like, how severe are they? Like, literally get really specific with certain things. And still keeping in mind that even your highest self, even this person that you are manifesting or that you're wanting to become, is not perfect, right? We're still human. We're not ever going to be perfect. So that doesn't mean that this person that you're manifesting, this millionaire, billionaire, financially free, traveling person, that they have absolutely no addictions, and that they have the most perfect friends and the best relationship ever, and they have the perfectly groomed little poodle right next to them that sits and doesn't bark, right? Like, it's not like that, okay? So, but it's thinking about the actions, it's thinking about the behaviors, it's thinking about the perspectives or the perceptions of yourself, of the world, of how things can happen, and breaking that all down. And it doesn't have to be in some sort of set order. It can literally just be bullet pointed or written however you want to. There doesn't have to be any sort of way. But I start with asking myself, who, like, the version of me that I'm manifesting, what do they do every day? Who are they? What's their identity? And I think a lot of people really try to force that outcome before they change their identity. And there's a trial and error with that, right? But I know I have for sure. So let's talk about the difference between trying to force your habits versus becoming the person that those habits belong to. Okay? So let's talk about it. Ask yourself, what would the aligned version of me do today? Okay? So if you're like, well, yeah, I currently have a coffee addiction, and my higher self, the person I'm manifesting, who I'm becoming, doesn't have a coffee addiction, so I'm just going to cut it out today. That's a little forceful, right? And there's nothing wrong with quitting an addiction cold turkey if it feels aligned with you and you feel like you're inspired and motivated to do so. But that also goes to a deeper level, that it should be fed by, like, that motivation to stop an addiction or to quit something or quit a behavior even shouldn't be from force. It should be coming from a place of love. Like, I love that I'm so focused and present, even though I be jumbling over my words and I'm very still fiery and eclectic, okay? That doesn't like make me a dull person, but like I like to be present and I like to be able to think coherently and understand what I'm feeling and kind of feel into those energies. And I love that feeling. I love being present. So I'm going to, in my mind, I'm going to take action to minimize or eliminate caffeine from my daily diet, from my daily actions, how I show up in my day, based from a place of I love being present. So I want to eliminate things that keep me from being present. Instead of I don't want to drink coffee because everyone says it's bad and I just don't like it and I shouldn't do it, right? Because that's more of a shame and blame place. And again, there are steps. I've absolutely, the reason I say shame and blame so much in this, not just this video, but like my whole channel, that's like one of my freaking phrases, is because I constantly came from a place of shaming and blaming myself all the time. I would very infrequently shame and blame other people for their things, but I would not hold any space of grace and forgiveness for myself. I would be like, no, that's totally okay. You're working through things. For like my friends and family, I'm like, I get it. Like, you're totally good. You've been doing awesome. Like, give yourself some credit. And then when it came to me, I'm like, oh, I suck. All these like things. I was so rough on myself. And it was coming from a place of force and from like anger and fear and sadness. And it wasn't coming from a place of love. So when I switched that and I said, what do I love about the person that I'm becoming? Whether I'm embodying that now or not, what do I love about the person I'm becoming? I love that she is so present. I love that she is able to put focus into something that she is excited about, and she can like be a little more focused or put more time into that than I would have been able to if I had caffeine in my system or something else in my system. And so I'm shifting and changing my habits based from a place of love rather than forcing an outcome to happen. Okay. And I've had many, many trials and errors here. I've shared my addiction journey with you guys a couple times here. But if you guys are new, that's fine. It doesn't really matter about diving too much into that. But I've had many different types of addictions, and I would constantly just try to force myself out of it. I would cold turkey flip the switch and just try to stop doing it. And I thought I was so good at it because I'd be able to I'd usually be able to actually cut it off. I have extreme willpower. My willpower is intense, is insane. So I would use my willpower and self-discipline to stop doing something, but it wouldn't be coming from a place of love, and it wouldn't be coming from a place of a mindset of sustainability. It would be coming from, well, I want this to happen now, so I'm going to do this now, right? It would be very forceful. It was very like abrupt, very reactive. And I have come from that place where I would cut out alcohol and I'd be really good 5 months, 4 months, whatever. And then I'd fall off track and I'd have some, and then I'd recognize it, but then I would shame myself because it was never coming from a place of love in the first place, why I cut it out. I'd shame myself. Why did I allow myself to do that? Why did I do that? Gosh, man. And I'm just like, man, I suck, man. And then I'd just go into the spiral, and it would like bleed out into many weeks or many months where I would just kind of lose any type of discipline, self-discipline, or inspiration or motivation, because I wasn't coming from a place of love. I wasn't looking at myself saying, I love my body and I want to take care of it. That's why I want to eliminate or cut out these things. I was doing it because I want this relationship to happen. I want the money to come in. I want this job opportunity. So I'm going to do it now. And that's not to say that self-discipline and, like being able to be decisive and make a decision and having willpower are bad. Those are amazing things to have. But once again, if it's not coming from a place of love and curiosity, and it's coming from a place of shame and blame, it's not going to be sustainable. You might get a couple steps ahead, but then you're going to realize you roll back down again. And you might find yourself right back in that same spot that you started with, or even sometimes further back. And that's really debilitating. It's really defeating. It's a defeating feeling. And I know if any of you guys have ever tried to cut anything out of your life, even relationships or people, it's really debilitating and defeating to try to do something reactionary out of force, out of frustration, out of fear, and find yourself back with that person, or find yourself back with that addiction, or find yourself back in that same pattern and cycle. And then you start to like, it really weighs on you. It weighs on your conscious. It weighs on your mindset. It weighs on your emotions. It weighs on your physical body. Talking about how stress and anxiety can manifest itself in your physical body. It manifests itself that way. And you can start to see that, like, when you get in those habits of forcing yourself to cut something out or to be done with something immediately from a place of, I want the outcome to happen, so I'm going to do this. It can really, what's the word I'm thinking of? It can really be a damper on your self-esteem. It can really be a damper, if not like really, truly just kind of crush it. You know, like you could feel like, I'm really confident. I got great willpower. I can do these things. That was me doing that. I was like, yeah, I got this. I'm so capable. And that's such a beautiful perspective that I have, and that I've been cultivating year over year, where I do talk positively more so about myself, but it still wasn't always coming from a place of love. It was coming from a place of me just being like, well, let me just say I'm confident. Let me just force myself to do this. And yeah, it's a really tiring cycle. It is. So asking yourself, what would the aligned version of me do today? And like I said, there's no right or wrong. We're not coming from shame and blame. It doesn't matter what your answer is and what you're doing, and whatever you're manifesting and becoming is going to be so different than what other people are manifesting and wanting to become. So it's not about getting it right or doing even what I'm exactly telling you. I'm sharing my personal stuff, but it doesn't have to be that exactly for you. But just writing down, for me, having two different actionary checklists, and having one that says, this is what I want to shift and change, but I'm not going to be like mad and angry and forceful about myself with these things. I'm just going to recognize, just from a place of curiosity and awareness, and write down, I stay up sometimes till midnight or 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. and I'm scrolling on my phone. And even if I'm doing something that's like, you know, quote unquote productive, I'm listening to a positive, upbeat podcast or something that's not, you know, like I'm not doom scrolling or anything. There's still a level of, I don't want to be fixated on my phone and distracted all the way up until the second or the moment I fall asleep. I want to give myself that time to like just be, to have maybe a bedtime routine where I slow my body down. I slow that process down. And so that's where the other checklist comes in, and I can mirror those two things. I can say, I notice that I scroll on my phone and I stay up later than I wanted to. So what do I want to do coming from a place of love? I want to allow myself the peace and the space and the time to slowly get my body ready for bed, instead of like, I don't know, anxiety ridden and scrolling on my phone, or feeling like I have to listen to all the motivating podcasts, you know, whatever. Again, I'm using my examples here, but like, I wanted to just look at it just as it is, because some people could sit here and say, well, at least you're not doom scrolling and you're not on social media, because that's true. That's another action I've taken. I tried to get off of social media, and I did for about 2 years, and I have one right now outside of YouTube. I don't really know if I call that social media. I guess it is. It literally is. No, it's media and it's social. So I guess it's social media, but I don't have a Facebook. I do have an Instagram, but it's connected to my YouTube here. So like, other than that, I eliminated that. So that was something for me right off the bat that I noticed, that like I had an addiction to my phone. I had addiction to social media, partly because I ran my business and I was always on my phone. But then I stopped using that as an excuse and saying, well, I run my business, so I should be on my phone, because the things I was doing where I was scrolling wasn't business stuff. So like, I couldn't actually use that as an excuse. So I have to just look at it for what it is and just be aware, not blame myself. Yep, I'm on my phone a lot more than I want to be. And I would like to be more present and allow myself and my body and my brain to have like a space to like come down from the day, right? To relax and pull away and reprieve if I want to, instead of just getting in bed and zoning out to something else, right? So having those actionable checklists for me was really nice. Like, I like to write things out. I'm visual and auditorial. I know a lot of people have different types of ways in how they learn. So that's another thing that you could pay attention to. Like, how do you learn and hold on to information best? Some people are strictly just like auditorily, so you can just listen to it and hear it and it sticks with you, and that's so beautiful and cool. Some people need to write it down physically. That's me. Like, that was me through school the whole time. If I did not write something down and make myself flashcards, I would not remember it, or it wouldn't stick with me for long. So like, I started to learn how I learn. I started to pay attention to the patterns and how I showed up best. So for me, journaling and writing in my diary has been a game changer for me. And that was part of this stepping into who I'm becoming. And it's been a multi-year process, as it still is. It's not like I'm here, but I can look back from 2 years ago and be like, holy cow, I'm literally the person that I was manifesting 2 years ago. And now I have new goals and I'm manifesting just that next level of me. And that's so cool. That's so beautiful. And it's really awesome to see. But taking away the forceful outcome, taking away the timeline of it, and just saying, how would I show up? How would my future self, or a version of me that already exists out there that I'm correlated and tied to here, I can feel that, I can see it, I have dreams about it, I get excited about these things that I want for myself. That means it already exists out there for you, boo, that it's meant for you. And when you can tap into that and stay in that type of frequency of excitedness and passion and love to be in that place, rather than I hate myself and I'm not good enough and I just suck and I just have so many problems and I'll never be there, but I still want it, so I'm just going to force it and make it happen, right? There's a difference there between forcing your habits and becoming the person that those habits belong to. So doing tiny daily choices that reflect your identity are huge. Okay. It doesn't have to be like cut something off immediately, slough it off, and it's completely gone. And you make what's it called? I already said it earlier. Cold turkey. There we go. You make like a cold turkey, hard cut off something. Okay. It's starting little things. So for me, I also was in a place before a couple years ago where I would wake up. And I've usually been a morning person, but I wouldn't get out of bed. I would be like, yeah, and I'd like have conversations with myself, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing whatever. But I would literally lay in bed for like 2 hours after I woke up. Sometimes on my phone, sometimes just daydreaming, which is beautiful because I do believe there's this thinning of the veil in the right before you go to sleep and right as you wake up, where there's this creative spark. There's all of these things that you can daydream and think about that are like so just present. But I wasn't quite utilizing that time for that. I was tired of getting up and being a single parent and having to take care of everything. And even when I wasn't a single parent, I was tired of still feeling like I had to do it all on my own, because my other people in my life at the time when I wasn't a single parent were not home often. They were gone all the time. So I was doing everything on my own. And I was just like really reluctant to be like, oh my gosh, once I get out of bed, that means I got to start doing things. That means I got to start, like, I got all the chores, I got all of the responsibilities, I got all the errands, I got all the things I got to do. So if I just lay in bed, I can give myself that place. And it was more of avoidance and fear. And I didn't recognize it at the time, but it was something that I was aware of, that like, I wake up and then I just lay there. Why? Just out of curiosity, like why, right? And what do I want to do now? What is on this other checklist, what do I want to start doing with that behavior? Well, my highest self, or the version that I'm becoming or that I'm manifesting, would wake up and then would get up and will go take care of themselves, their body, and I'm going to go brush my teeth. I'm going to go wash my face, maybe take a shower. I like night showers, but maybe you like morning showers, and go take a shower. I'm going to like go step out in nature for just a couple minutes even, or go on a walk. I'm going to do something where I'm focused on myself and my health and my growth and my physical body. Because throughout the rest of the day, especially as if you're a parent or a single parent even, that like throughout the day, a lot of things can happen, especially if you have well, I mean, if you're a parent, you have a kid. I was going to say, especially if you have a kid, but if you're a parent, you have a kid. But you know that like a lot of the day, oftentimes, is around the child or what you have to do for them. And even if you don't homeschool like I do, and you don't run a business at home like I do, you still probably have a job that you have to drive to, and you still got to take your kid to school. And even if you don't take your kid to school and they go on a bus, you still got to plan to like get them ready or help them get ready for breakfast or make sure they have their homework with them and get them on the bus and then make sure they get there safely and then pick them up and be there on time when the bus gets back when school is over. Like there's a lot to do. Like your whole day is around the child. And that's part of being a parent, right? But there's a level of questioning at some point. Where do I fit into this occasion? No. Where do I fit into this equation is the word I was going to use. Where do I fit into this equation, right? And then I know that there's so many parents. I know specifically moms too. I've had a lot of clients and been in mom groups that have talked about feeling like they've lost who they are. They've just lost their essence. They've lost anything about anything that they've ever loved in life. And they don't even know who they are anymore after they have a kid. And it's not that they don't love their kid or they don't want to be a parent, but it's that so many shifts and changes happen and your identity like shifts and focuses on to your child or your children. And that's just the nature of it. So how can you fit like focusing on yourself? Where can you fit that in the day that doesn't abandon your child, but also gives you the time to feel like you're worthy of that self-care, that love, that time to take care of yourself. So for me, I was like, this version that I'm manifesting and wanting to become is going to be somebody who wants to take care of themselves and isn't going to just stay in bed out of fear. And you know, and even when I did get out of bed, like I wouldn't take care of my body. I wouldn't do a lot. So I was just going and running around for my daughter. I'm like, I want to take care of myself. So what does that mean? And then I just look at those two things, like just as awareness, like you don't have to do anything with it quite yet. It's just simply writing it down or speaking it out loud or acknowledging, being aware of your current actions and habits and what you would like to do with those current actions and habits. And it starts from there, okay? So, examples that I wrote. Actually, a couple months back, I wrote this for myself. I asked myself, like the version of who I am wanting to be and who I feel I'm aligned with, but I'm not quite there yet. But like, how can I embody that? So the version of you who feels grounded probably protects their peace. Right? The version of you who feels like you have a level head or you're present or you know, aren't constantly around people and situations that cause stress and anxiety or at least heighten that, they're going to protect their peace. So for me, it was like taking care of not just myself, but also who am I talking to all day, every day? Like, or not talking to, I guess, too. Like if you're abandoning, neglecting yourself and isolating. But like for me, it was like I was constantly around a lot of people and constantly talking to people, especially virtually online with my business. Like, who am I sharing my energy with? Who am I having conversations with about life? What situations am I putting myself in or allowing myself to be in that are taking away from my peace and my safety? And whatever that is for you, right? But for me, there's different things, and I laid those out and I wanted to be somebody who was at peace and grounded. So what does that look like? What is the version of me who feels grounded? What do I do? Well, that person would probably protect their peace so they could feel more grounded. So they don't constantly feel like their freaking heads everywhere else, right? Like that they're physically present in their body and they're able to make decisions on like, this conversation is for me, or this person I'm aligned with them, or I want to talk with them right now, or this is a situation or an environment or a place that I want to be at or I don't want to be at right now. Another example, what does the healed version of you do? Right? And like, again, we're always on a healing journey. So this doesn't mean like you're perfect and healed. I want to be very careful. I keep saying that at the beginning. This is not about you becoming perfect. This is about you just moving into the most advanced, highest version of yourself, whoever you feel like you want to be. Like you want to be done with certain things in your life, but you don't know how to. Like start to feel into what would that higher version of you do? What would they do? Even if you've never done it before, we can intuitively check in. We can ask you may have never been a billionaire. You may have never physically met a billionaire, but you can think about what would a billionaire do? Like, okay, a morally, ethically good billionaire do, right? Like what would they do? What would they do with their time and their money, right? So what would the healed version of you do? Well, for me, I was constantly surrounding myself with a lot of people, even though it wasn't keeping me grounded and it was heightening my anxiety and all these different things. I was constantly chasing their validation. I was constantly wanting their attention. I was constantly wanting them to like just validate whatever I'm going through all the time. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be validated, but I was chasing it. And I was surrounding myself around situations and people that were not aligned with me, that were heightening my anxiety, that were shifting and changing my perspective and my worldview on things in ways that I didn't want it to go that way. And that's not me to blame them. Again, coming back to myself, taking accountability and being aware, not from a shame and blame place. I allowed certain people, because I showed up and talked to them. No one forces me to open my mouth and speak. No one forces me and like makes me have to go drive to a location or a party or a situation or a family event. I chose to do that. But being in those situations and you know, events and around those people, like what's happening with me? And I was realizing my stress is getting heightened. My anxiety is getting heightened. I'm not getting things done that I wanted to get done. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling burdened. I'm feeling anxious. And then I'm still asking for those people who heighten my anxiety and stress to validate me, right? So the healed version of me, of Eleanor, doesn't chase validation. I don't ask people. And it was a process, and it still kind of is for me. But I don't ask people if they like what I'm doing, if they're okay with how I run my business, if they like what outfit I'm wearing or my child's wearing, or how I homeschool her. I don't, because it feels aligned for me, and I don't need their validation. It's cool if they want to share their opinion, and I want to hold space for that, but I don't need their validation. So I had to look at it and be like, I have to just be aware that, yep, this is what I've been doing, and this is what the highest version of me would do. I would stop chasing validation. And how can I do that? And start working backwards from that. The next thing I use for myself is, what is the most abundant version of myself? What do they do? Well, they wouldn't make decisions from fear, right? So coming back to me being a morning person, like my mood and my excitement, I'm always like, yay, I've always been a morning person. Like literally since childhood, I've always been a morning person. But as I became a mom, I started to stay in bed longer, not just because I was exhausted and tired. That's true too. But like I would wake up, and even when I wasn't exhausted and tired and I was ready for the day emotionally, mentally, I thought I was at least, I was staying in bed from fear, because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I get up, this is what's going to happen. The whole day is going to just happen right in front of me. Like, and I don't want it to, so I'm scared and I don't want to. Excuse me. Matcha break. Hang on. But yeah, the abundant version of me, the version of me that receives and that accepts help and that receives, it could be money, receives just love, attention, just receives. Abundance is like having things and being able to receive it and enjoy it and not take advantage of it, be grateful for it, but know that abundance comes in many different forms and it's always showing up for me. And what does that person do? Well, that person doesn't live out of fear. I don't make decisions based off of fear. And I'm going to make decisions based off of what feels aligned for me and what I feel most excited about. And I love that. It's such a simple statement, but I would tell my clients this all the time, that when they were like, well, I don't really know what to do. And even if it's something just as simple as, my boyfriend and I, we're going to go on a date night. And they're telling me this, like, my boyfriend and I, we want to go on a date this weekend, but like, our relationship's kind of been going through some things and we don't really know. I kind of want to like spice up the relationship and go on a different type of date, but I don't know if I should do this one or this one or this one. I don't really know. And they would just like talk to me or vent to me or whatever. And I'm like, hey, I can't tell you what's best for you in your relationship or what you would want to do, but I can say which one, outside of whatever your boyfriend thinks, which one makes you most excited? Which of these things, which date night gets you like, oof, and even if it's just a little bit more, oof, like do that one. Because when you show up and you are more excited and more in love with the thing that you chose, that you're aligned with, the thing that you chose to do, when you show up that way with more excitement and joy, and from a place of like, I love doing this, this makes me excited, your energy radiates that way, and it's very potent and it's very magnetic, and it also has a capability to influence other people as well and their energy, even if it's just a short period of time. So I tell my clients, like, which one gets you most excited? Oh, well, I would really like to do going on this thing. Well, that's awesome. Well, my boyfriend doesn't really like, hey, I'm not here to give you any advice about what you need to do with your relationship, but this is about what makes you excited right now. This is a date for you too, right? This isn't a relationship that's solely him, right? This is both you guys. But if you're making a decision right now on what you want to do, what makes you excited? And when you show up, you're going to show up with so much like happiness and excitedness to do this thing, because you're already even just talking about it. You're excited about it. You go on this date, your boyfriend's going to see how excited you are. They're going to feel that energy from you. And that is something that is so potent, especially if somebody who loves you and supports you, even if there's some turmoil in the relationship. Let's say it's a little bit, like we all have our things in our relationships. There's ebbs and flows, and there's, that doesn't mean that you're never going to have arguments or situations. But if it's healthy relationship, it's not a toxic relationship, and this person or friend or family member, whoever, truly loves you and cares for you, even if there's tension or there's something going on in the relationship, and you show up with love and light and excitedness, whoa, how potent that is, and how magnetic that is, and how influential that is. Like, think about it. When you smile at a stranger, a genuine smile, like, most often they smile back. I mean, there are some people that are like, oh, what the fuck, but most times you smile at somebody, or you like give a compliment and you're like, you look so good, and you genuinely mean it because you genuinely like how they look. Like, you love their dress, you love their hair, you love what they did. It gets them flippin' and excited too. So it's the same thing, like making decisions based off of what gets you flippin' and going, what gets you excited, what makes you feel passionate, and making each individual decision, like little tiny decisions throughout the day. And coming back to yourself, even if it's like, I don't know what to eat, but I have this and this. Well, which one makes you most excited? This one. Okay, let's do that one, right? And then you keep staying in a frequency of excitedness and passion and love and joy, and that just keeps moving forward. And then you start getting into the habit of making tiny decisions throughout your day that are led through love and excitement and joy. And it's really cool. It's really awesome. So not making decisions based off of fear, like, oh my gosh, my boyfriend probably wouldn't like that date. Well, if your boyfriend loves you, it's one date. Even if he doesn't like it, he's going to see that you like it. And I guarantee he will still have fun, or at least enjoy the fact that you're enjoying it. And if he doesn't like it, he can say he didn't like it afterwards, and you guys don't have to do it again. But you got to go and have fun, and he got to see you have fun. And you guys have love for each other, and you tried something new, right? So it's like, instead of making decisions based off of like, oh, I don't know what people are going to think about me. I don't know what my boyfriend's going to say. What are my parents going to say? What happens if I don't? Like, that's based off of fear, right? And there's nothing wrong with experiencing fear. We're human. We're going to. But recognizing when you are making fear-based decisions, like, oh, I don't want to eat or drink this because this will do this for me. Like, this will make this happen to me. And doing it based off of, I genuinely am so passionate and excited about this. And I want to do this, and this just gets me going. I want to do it. Not an addiction, okay? There is that difference, because that's not joy and excitement. That's a coping mechanism that suppresses the frustration or fear or anger or abandonment wounds that we have. There's a difference. When I went to alcohol, it wasn't because I was like, yay, alcohol, I'm so excited about it, I live for it. No, I was doing it because I'm like, oof, life is hard. Things are difficult. I just want to not feel like things are difficult and hard right now. So I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to do that. And that was coming more from a place of fear and coping. And it wasn't really excitement. That wasn't joy and excitement. So recognizing the difference between those two things. But alignment isn't about pretending to be somebody else. It's not necessarily about like, well, it's definitely not about, but you can do this. It's not about mirroring or copying somebody else you want to be like, because you shouldn't want to be them, you want to be you. But there might be aspects of them that they reflect back to you that you're like, I really like how they approach this or how they communicate. I really like how they show up in situations like this. And you can mirror those things back, but it's not coming from a place of I want to be them. I want to be that person, right? So alignment isn't about pretending to be somebody else. Okay. It's about remembering who you are and who you've always been and the version of you that already exists. Remembering about who you are and who you're becoming and letting your daily decisions match that. Yeah. I feel like this can be very complex, but also very simple. There's duality in all of this, but I just wanted to share this. I've broken this down. I feel like I might do a couple series videos on this because I have 4 or 5 different points that I've been really working on for myself and how I step more into my, not just my authentic self, but like my highest version, the version that I'm so excited to be and become, and I'm trying to embody now. I have 4 or 5 different like things that I've been working on and writing about. Ooh, that's interesting. I got a little ping. I'm like, maybe I'll write a book about that. But I'm only talking to you guys about one right now. And there's a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to, this video is just going to be about one point, and then I'll maybe make some more if you guys really like that. I don't know. No, I'll probably do it anyways. See, this is what I'm talking about. Let's just be honest. Coming from a place of chasing validation. It's not that I'm like, I need you guys to like it, right? But me saying like, well, if you guys like it, I'll do it. No, I'm going to flip it and do it whether you like it or not. You just don't have to watch the video if you don't like it. See, I catch myself. It's coming from a place of love. It's okay. I recognize it. But yeah, so it's not about pretending to be somebody else, okay? It's about remembering who you already are, who you're becoming, and letting your daily actions match that, right? And your daily environment can either support you or it can sabotage you. And looking at those things and saying, are these actions, each individual action that you go through in your day, is this helping me? Is this supporting me? Or is this sabotaging me? And I know people, at least for me, I can say like, as a coach, I've had clients many times be like, wait, you want me to do that for like everything, all day, every day? And I'm like, well, it's not like it's a requirement, like you're going to fail or something if you don't, but it is one of my tips of advice to start creating a habit mentally and emotionally and physically to check in with yourself in every action that you do. So we don't just become like mind numb to doing the same habits and then not really knowing why we're doing them or even being aware that we're doing them. Because think about it, there are like, how many times have you sat down and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna like have some chips, and then you like zone out to TV or you zone out on your phone or you're talking with somebody and you eat the whole bag and you're like, oh, whoa, how and when did that happen? And it's like, because we're not as present and we're not being as aware and we're not checking in with ourselves to see, how do we feel? Why do I want to get the chips? What am I going to do with these chips? How do I feel before I'm eating them? How do I feel while I'm eating them? How do I feel after I'm eating them? And just checking in with yourself. And yeah, it might feel a little monotonous at first because it's a new thing. If you've never checked in with yourself in that type of way, it might feel very tedious and a little monotonous of like every single time with every situation. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a process, right? Like there's a learning curve. So it's not like all of a sudden overnight, you have to be able to constantly check in with yourself 100% of the time, every flipping day, no matter what, without fail. But starting the process, when you wake up and you make a decision. Oh, I don't know if you guys could hear that. My stomach was loud. Oof. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to talk about that one yet. I'll get into that maybe another time. Oof. But yeah, like, checking in with yourself to see, why am I choosing to do this? Or why do I want to do this? Even before you make the decision, but you've thought about it. Like, I want to go hang out with this person. And then stop for a second. Why do I want to hang out with this person? Well, because I like them and they're cool. Okay. What are you feeling right now? Feeling a little anxious and stressed right now. Okay. So if you went to hang out with this person that you like and care about, would that heighten your stress and anxiety? Or would that make it better? Like, or would it help at least? Yeah, probably be kind of the same or a little bit worse. Okay. So is there another option that I can have, or is there a different time frame that I can maybe put that aside and not run to somebody else for validation or as a coping mechanism to help me through my anxiety? And maybe I can sit with it and validate that I have anxiety right now and that I'm just trying to kind of distract with somebody else, which again, there's nothing wrong with having people in your life that you love and that you want to talk to, and that when you're feeling anxious and stressed, you want to talk to. I'm not saying don't do that, but at the beginning stages here, as you are stepping into this becoming version of you and you're starting to analyze and understand how you show up in your day and why you make decisions, starting with those types of questions first. And there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong, because even if your answer is, yeah, they would probably heighten my stress and anxiety, and you still choose to go see them, that's okay, boo. Just recognize it. Be aware. That's the decision that you made. And then after you come back home or whatever from hanging out with that person, check in with yourself again. Ooh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I was right that I feel a little bit more anxious and stressed. Yep, that's kind of what I intuitively thought was going to happen, and it did. And how am I feeling right now? Oh, I'm feeling guilty for making that decision. Oh, hang on. I'm going to show up from a place of love. I don't need to guilt myself for choosing to hang out with my friend. Let me recognize that I already knew that I was going to have heightened stress and anxiety. And I was right when that happened. And now, as that's showing up in real time here, I can check in with myself in real time and say, yep, I'm feeling a heightened level of stress and anxiety. And simply just to validate yourself and to say it out loud or to write it down is not only like a empowering thing for yourself, but it builds self-esteem for you to acknowledge and recognize that you are very intuitive and that you do recognize things more so than you give yourself credit for, and that you can allow yourself to take accountability and recognize what's happening in front of you or in your daily actions. And that is such a huge game changer for so many people. And I think it can be very misunderstood that you're like, well, how can you be in a place of contentment or joy or abundance if you're, I'm losing my train of thought here. Hang on. How can you be in a place? Forgive me, guys. Sorry, my mind's going that way. Let's channel the focus again. Hang on. I don't even know where I was going with that one. Maybe you guys did, if you did. But you guys, I think you get the gist, because I'm kind of like repeating this stuff. But I think, forcing. Thank you. Forcing yourself into certain outcomes. It's like, well, how can I be like happy if I don't have these certain outcomes happening for me? It's like, well, you can still be in similar patterns, but the fact that you are aware of it now, consciously aware how many chips from the bag you're eating, or when you're grabbing those bag of chips, you do it when you like to watch TV, or you do it right after you get home from work, or like recognizing those things are huge. And just because the outcome of what you're wanting or the abundance that you're manifesting hasn't quite shown up and the outcome isn't quite here yet, doesn't mean that you're not successful or that you're not doing it right. There's a process here, and a lot of people forget that we gotta shift our identity before the outcome happens, before we can match that frequency. So constantly checking in with yourself and starting off with that until it becomes habit. And that doesn't mean you stop it, because once it's habit, then awesome. Now you start checking in with yourself. I do that often too. It's like, I'll be walking throughout my day and I really want a smoothie. Do I want a smoothie, or do I want a coffee? Like I want to treat myself today. I've been doing really good at being more mindful about where my finances go. But today I really want to treat myself, and I'm flipping up and excited about it, and I want to do that, and I'm going to do that. But which one gets me most excited? And then asking myself, why am I wanting to do this now? Well, because for one, I deserve it, and I want to reward myself because I've been diligent with these other things. Two, because I'm genuinely excited about it, and it's like lighting up my day to know that I get to do this and fuel my body with a certain drink that I've been craving and wanting really bad. And three, it's beneficial. Like, these things that I'm doing are beneficial for me. They're not coping mechanisms. I'm not going to alcohol. I'm not going to smoking. I'm not going to toxic conversations and chatting or gossiping with other people. I'm wanting to fuel and nourish my body with a really nice smoothie or with like a matcha tea. And that really excites me. And then when I get that drink and I make the decision on which one I want, I sit with that, and while I'm drinking it, I sit here and say, what do I feel? I feel so happy I made this decision. I feel so content. I'm so proud of myself for the work I've done before to to cut down or eliminate caffeine and to be able to enjoy this beverage and not feel guilty. That's what I feel right now. And then after my drink, wow, do I feel like some sort of fear or rush, like I have to go get more now to maintain that feeling because that's coming from a place of wounding and fear and lack? Or am I feeling like I feel really good and I'm glad that I got that drink and that's so cool, and I don't know when I'll get that drink again, but for right now, that was so awesome that I got to be in it? Or do you feel a different way? Do you feel like, okay, well, yeah, I felt really, really good at that time and now I want another one because I don't want to lose that feeling? That's coming from a place of force and lack mindset. And again, never from shame, never from blame, but just recognizing where your feelings are coming from and what you're experiencing in each moment as you make a decision. Because alignment is structural. It's not just mental. It's about aligning your actions and what you're doing moving forward in your day and how you actually implement those things. Right? And I know if you've been on my channel a lot, you've been hearing me talk about, excuse me, I'm going to say it, Spirit. You've been hearing me talk about implementing and integrating the things that you've been going through, right? So it's not just about learning something. That's great and all to have the experience and learn about things. But if you don't implement it and check in with yourself and utilize that new lesson that you've learned, we can lose that lesson. It can just go away because we haven't been utilizing, we haven't been checking in with ourselves. It's not just a mindset to say, I want to be abundant and positive and I'm going to do that. That's a start, but then we have to implement with actions, and it's a structural thing. You got to build the foundation. You got to put up the pipe bar, the bar pipe, bar, pipe. There's a word for it. Why can I not think of it? Whatever. We're building buildings, okay? We're building structures for our life. I can't even. Rebar. There we go. We put up the rebar. We put up all of the, walls. You build. It's a structure. It doesn't just happen overnight. You got to start somewhere. And I think that's so cool to look at it and be like, wow, not only is my mindset shifting, but also now I'm using that new perspective and mindset and those new actionable habits that I'm starting to implement, asking myself how I feel, why I'm doing these actions, what I feel before the action, what I feel during the action as I'm doing it, whether it's meeting with somebody or drinking something or an addiction you're going to, or just anything. And what do I feel after that? How is my body responding? How's my nervous system responding? How do I feel after I've done that thing? And just recognizing it. That is seriously such a huge catalyst and eye opener and game changer. And I think it's so cool to be able to see that we can literally change our lives. We can literally become the people we want to be, the person we want to be. I'm saying people collectively here. We can literally become the person we want to be, the person that we feel most aligned with and most excited to become and step into that by taking actionable steps, and just tiny ones. Just tiny ones. I think for me personally, I struggle with patience. The hardest thing for me in this whole situation wasn't even cutting out or eliminating certain things or walking away from relationships, although those were hard, don't get me wrong. But for me personally, the hardest thing was to fluff. Is my mind really going again? Hang on. Why can I not think of the hardest thing anymore? I had it. You guys. I'm trying. Hang on. Be patient with me, you guys, as I'm learning to be patient. Oh, that's literally what it is. Thank you, Spirit. The hardest thing. Oh my God. I'm so funny. Okay. I make myself laugh. Yo. The hardest thing for me was learning to be patient and not having something happen immediately and not being able to be like, well, why isn't it happening now? Because remember what I was saying earlier, like I know I have flippant and strong willpower and self-discipline, and I can implement it now. Just cause, without any reason, but it's not sustainable. And then then I fall off track, and then it's a whole thing, and I have to restart the whole process again. But that was the hardest thing for me, was to realize that I'm walking away from situations, or I'm eliminating certain, coping mechanisms or addictions or habits or behaviors. And, the day after I do that, the results aren't here. Like, what the fluff? And then being patient and realizing that it's not about making a 180 decision overnight and then all of it shows up for you. It's about taking tiny actionable steps, checking in with yourself, creating sustainability, creating a structural foundation here for you that you get to actually live in and embody and be. And I think that's so cool. It's a lifestyle architecture, not just a mindset. It's an architecture. Think of your life as something you are building and you get to create it. You are the architect of your life. If you want to have a house with rounded frames instead of the square frames, if you want to have big windows from floor to ceiling, if you want to have an underground dome, you get to create that for yourself, boo. But guess what? You can't just be like, I want that. And then poof, it's there. Right? Trust me. I flippin' know. Patience. I love that I had to like sit in awkward silence and be patient to understand that I struggled with patience. That was the irony of the day. I love that. Amazing. But I'm going to leave that right there with you guys. I have a lot more I could go into, but I think that was the biggest thing for me, was realizing that it's not about making 180 shifts and switching everything in your life that you don't like and that you just don't like about yourself or whatever. It's about just looking at it. The checklists are the biggest thing that come back for me. Looking at it and saying, these are things that I do currently that I would like to change. Not coming from shame, not saying that I suck or that I hate this or whatever. It's just, I do these things. Okay, these are things I want to shift and change. And then this one is, what can I do that would, or what is my highest version of myself? What is the person I'm becoming do in that area? What would they do? And then just writing it down, visually seeing it, auditorily hearing it, speaking it out loud to yourself, and starting to take those tiny actionable steps is a huge game changer. And it takes the huge pressure off to be perfect or to do everything overnight and just become the person you want to be overnight. Burp confirmation. Bro. I have been drinking so much water, like a gallon a day. And it's been great, but my stomach's been gurgling and sloshing a lot because I have a lot of water in it all the time and I have to pee all the time. So, and I'm actually going to end this video because I got to go pee. Oh, it's an hour? I talked for an hour again. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. So yeah, my stomach's been gurgling a lot and I've been like, just a lot of things have been shifting internally in my body on a biophysical type of way. And it's like, I'm noticing more yawning and hiccups and gas releases. I'm noticing a lot of just shifts in my body as I'm changing and shifting tiny actionable things in my day and paying attention to how I feel around them. And right now I'm in the learning curve of it still. This is a little interesting. This is weird. Okay. My body is doing some interesting stuff right now, but that's okay. And that's just proof that I'm making changes. How cool is that? So cool. So yeah, that's what I want to share with you guys. I love you guys so much. This is a journey of life and it's a process and it's ever evolving, but it's so cool to know that you can change things. You can do that. You can become who you want to become. You can. And if you have that thought in your heart and your feelings in your mind and you are like, I really feel like I'm going to be this person, or I really feel like I'm called to do this and I want to do these things and it gets me excited, there's a reason for that, boo. And you can achieve that. You can. You can. So I love you guys with all of my flip-a-dip-in' heart. And yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day or night or whatever mother fluffin' time it is as you're finding this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.